kind of tea is it?
Apple pie, pinky up.
You sell that at your store?
I do.
I should know that since I was there. I have some regrets that I didn't buy some more food items when I was there. And by more, I mean I didn't buy any.
Well, you
had like chocolate. Like I need that in my life.
The chocolate is really good too.
All right, let's be serious here. Hi, I'm Nicole. Welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting and other crafts. And today I'm with my friend Kelly, and she's also the owner of Mouton Rouge Knittery.
Hi, everyone.
So some people have seen you on my channel before because you are the woman who showed a bunch of options for the love note. Ew.
Yes. That's what happens when we're friends in real life. I get to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate for Kyle too, because he's my friend in real life and he has not enjoyed this. No, I'm kidding. He says he doesn't like it, but then he keeps doing it. So I'm like,
He might feel some pressure.
Yeah. Anyway, today I'm wearing my Julgran sweater, which is a Christmas sweater, but I mean, it's a pine tree. So I think that this really is appropriate all winter season, in my humble opinion.
Yes.
And winter season is really all year long because it's winter somewhere.
I actually had a customer who came in yesterday and she was going to work on a baby project and it was a deer. And then you sew a pom-pom onto the nose so that it's Rudolph.
Oh, fun.
And I suggested that she make it go into a button on the back of the sweater because then she could just have a deer for the rest of the year for this baby. Because, I mean, like, a parent could look at the Rudolph and say that's very seasonal, but if you make it so like the little pom-pom comes off, then you can use the deer for the whole winter.
Yeah, I mean, also, I'm the kind of person that will wear like a sweatshirt that has like Christmas stuff on it like all year long, summer. So
I have no problem with Christmas all year round.
Yeah, I really enjoyed knitting the sweater, but I did want to point it out because this is your hand-dyed yarn.
Yes,
and
Judy's mint.
Yeah, Judy's mint. Now, I'm really going off topic on our plan here, but Kelly dyes yarn, and you have quite an array of funny mint names. So there's Judy's mint, and then...
Yes, and so there's Judy's mint, and there's Betty's mint. So people who are familiar with the White Christmas movie, it's two sisters, Judy and Betty. So that is where those names came from. And then my January color of the month, I actually have my like sock tube sitting right here. Conveniently, this is
not planned.
Yeah, this is improvement, and then it gets even better. This is super pale, and it's called impalement.
Okay, impalement's everything. Like
so, the mint is funny. I like a pun. I'm an English major, so like I like words. Yes,
I always forget that you're an English major, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
About the palement, I'm going to give you a pun about that. It's not a pun, I guess, but just a little story about that maybe you don't know, because you know that I really love Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And did you watch Frozen?
I have seen Frozen.
Okay, so you know that Olaf gets impaled, and so it's kind of like a wintry theme. So it made me think of Frozen when you said impalement.
Yes,
and Olaf, he's like, I've been impaled. Okay, this is why. I will probably have to edit, but this is also why I'm going to move on here. I'm going to ask Kelly all kinds of questions about her and her store, but before I do, since this is your second time on the channel and you're my real life friend, I thought maybe some people would be interested in hearing the story of how we met. I wasn't sure like who should tell it because I think it'll be different, but
I mean, you came into my store when I was still in Morris. So I don't know, was that like 8 or 9 years ago?
It was in 2012. I remember the summer, the exact summer.
And I opened in 2011. So that would have been, I would have just been like a year. So about 9.5 years ago then. Mm-hmm. You came in with Kyle. Mm-hmm. And had you guys biked there or were you just there?
That's a
I
good
can't
question.
remember because you used to bike there sometimes.
I know, which if people don't know, they don't know where I lived or where your store was. It was a 50-mile bike ride. I used to be really active physically.
I did not ever join on these 50-mile bike rides.
We would literally ride our bike 50 miles to go get pizza.
Pizza's
I need to
good.
take that back up in my life again. Anyway, so I don't remember.
I don't remember a lot about the visit. I remember at the end I was winding your yarn and you saw my Lewis Carroll Alice in Wonderland quote magnet, and you kind of just went on and on about it.
Okay, and so this is why I was like, I knew that our stories would be different, because usually your story is about me going on and on about.
Yes.
But I didn't go on and on about your magnet. What had happened
is this how you don't like pink more than other people?
What had happened was it was 2012, and I had just learned kind of a random fact in 2012 that the Mad Hatter Tea Party is actually like a nod to this kind of historical thing that happened in, I don't know if this is too mathy for some people, but there's like, you can Google it. There's a mathematician, Sir Hamilton, in 1843. He had kind of discovered these Quaternion groups and kind of fell down a rabbit hole. That's my pun intended there. And basically, like, it's this, the whole Mad Hatter Tea Party thing is like a nod to that. And that summer, I just learned that, and I just probably was like wanting to overshare that with somebody. And so
that's fine.
So what I remember from the trip is basically it was my first time going to like a local yarn store. Like, I had been to yarn stores that had indie dyed yarn and like hand dyed yarn and like nice yarn, but I had never had like a local yarn store. And then that year in 2012, my husband Kyle he's a mechanical engineer, and in 2012 he was working for a corporation called Caterpillar. And I won't go into all the ins and outs about what happened in 2012, but basically he was working a lot and he was hardly home. And so I had decided I was going to like go buy yarn from a local yarn store and make like a big project. And what I ended up buying was yarn for the Summerfly shawl, which is not even that big of a project. It lasted like a week. But I also wanted to like kind of check it out because you had knit nights.
Yes.
And I wanted friends because I had a lot of alone time in the summer of 2012. And I was like, so I came to every single knit night in 2012.
And it worked because we became friends.
Yes.
I mean, part of it was I couldn't leave. No, I'm just kidding.
That's so funny.
That's not true. I wouldn't have left Nicole.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was 10 years ago now, almost.
Yeah.
10 years ago in the summer. And, I didn't have Matilda, and I was in my PhD program. So like I had things to do, but I guess I remember it being a very like, I wouldn't say lonely summer because I met you and ended up hanging out in the yarn store a lot. Mm-hmm. It was a different summer. And so I remember the exact yarn I bought for what pattern. And so for me, Alice in Wonderland was always like a little blip, but you always bring it up.
Well, I can just remember I was winding the yarn, and I think you talked about it like the whole time. And that was like a hand
there's a lot to tell about Quaternion groups. I just challenge the people watching this maybe to Google it.
You're gonna have to put that like on a bar underneath because no one will know how to spell that.
You know what? I there's a nice little paper about it that's kind of approachable, maybe ish. And I will link it below.
So I think that most people know like there's a math mind and there's like a word mind. So you guys kind of get both right here. So yeah, all of your viewers can be very entertained by one of us.
The irony about academia, though, is I always felt that way, that they're like a math mind or a word mind. But then like I would say 90% of my work now is words, communicating. So I really have a new appreciation for those language arts and English major people.
Yeah, I don't think whatever those words were that you said about the thing and the guy in the rabbit hole, I don't think I'm going to be reading that paper.
You could.
I could, but I'm not going to.
You don't have time. You're too busy dyeing yarn. All right. Anyway, Let's get back. We've lost viewers at this point. Okay, so let's keep going.
Or maybe we've gained them.
Nope, definitely lost. Okay, so
Sorry.
because you're my friend, I know that you know multiple crafts. Like I know you know how to knit, crochet, sew, all that. So could you share like how you learned how to knit, crochet?
So my mother's mother, my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, she would knit mittens for my mom and her siblings. And they would talk about how they had these mittens and they all hated them. So my grandma passed away when I think I was like 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I had it in my head that I was going to learn how to make mittens for all my aunts and uncles, and that they would like them then.
They didn't like mittens, so you wanted to replicate this, but make mittens that they did like.
Yes.
This sounds very Kelly.
Right. So my mom tried to teach me how to knit. She knew how to knit a little bit because her mom had knit and they had gone through 4-H and all that. So she knew a little bit about knitting. She tried to teach me and she laughed at me so hard she cried. So then I went and I took a class. I was living in the suburbs of Chicago at the time, and I was working at a corporate job, and I took a class through the Parks and Rec department, and I thought I was going to drop out because I was really bad.
Drop out of the Parks and Rec class?
Of the knitting class. Yeah, I thought I was going to be like a knitting failure. So I had to have like an extra private lesson with the teacher because I couldn't figure it out.
This is a beautiful story.
It is.
You struggled so much and now you're like...
So I think that what my struggle is when my mom had tried to teach me, she was showing me continental.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took the class and the teacher was teaching English.
Mm.
And so I kind of had that thing in my brain of how my mom had showed me. And then she was showing me something else. And I just couldn't make that mental shift in my mind. So then what happened is the teacher gave up of trying to teach me English and just showed me continental again. And then I got it right away.
Oh, that's funny.
But it was a struggle.
Oh, you're still a continental knitter today.
I am. Mm-hmm. Yes. So I did a scarf for the class. And then my next project was a Fair Isle sweater.
Mm.
And then I went for the third project of Intarsia Christmas stockings.
There you go. Just jump in.
So
it's the best way.
I really do think that like when you don't know that something is supposed to be hard, you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of muddle your way through. And I didn't really then have like a group or anything that I was attending. So if I made a mistake or whatever, I had to figure it out. And this was like pre-YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, dark days of time. So like I just figured it out.
Rectangles. And there's so many things you can do with rectangles. I mean, really sweaters, pieced.
Yeah. So, I mean, I then found a group and I started attending the group. And I mean, I'm still friends with some of the women that I was in that group with. Mm-hmm. I guess it's 17 years ago. So
that's awesome. So crochet.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's something about crochet, like it hurts your hands or something.
Yeah, I get tendonitis in my left wrist if I crochet. I hold my hand backwards as I'm holding my work, and I can't make myself hold it straight, and it just kills my hand. Mm. So I know how to do the crochet stitches, but I do not do a lot of crocheting.
Yes, I would say I don't know the crochet stitches. Like I know like single, double, and the granny stripes, and I've learned a granny stripe recently, but I don't do it often, and I don't know why. I mean, I like it. It doesn't hurt my hands. But how did you learn how to do it?
I think my mom showed me a little bit. And then when I opened my store, I had a crochet teacher. And that was kind of just like part of the interview is I had her like re-show me stuff that had been that I'd done, but, you know, didn't quite remember. So
how did you go from taking knitting stores at a Parks and Rec situation to let's open a yarn store?
So I took the class, and then I actually, when I was still working my corporate job, I taught knitting classes for 2 different yarn stores in the Chicago suburbs. I don't think either of them are open any longer, but I did teach classes, and I thought, why am I working at my job 50 or so hours a week doing all these things for someone else when I could do what I want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And so that became my goal. And then I decided to take that leap in 2011 and open the store. So I worked at a Fortune 50 retail company. So I had a very extensive retail background. And I had worked retail from the time I was 16, like regular customer service retail, all the way through the corporate level. So I had an extensive retail background before I started. Plus, I had the knitting experience and teaching classes at local yarn stores. So it
was a good fit.
Yes.
And you get to work on those English major skills when you're writing newsletters to the people.
I probably need to do more of that.
Okay. Okay, so
I also have a minor in French. That also comes in handy.
Les Mouton Rouge.
Yes. So for those who don't know, Le Mouton Rouge is a very famous club in Paris.
Also Kelly's yarn store. No.
No. Le Mouton Rouge means the red lamb or the red sheep.
That's what she says, but it's a really big space and there's some parties happening in the back.
Yes, it is in the red light district of Paris, but Le Moulin is a windmill. So my original sign when I was in Morris, the old wood sign, had a windmill in one corner and then had sheep grazing like in a field. So so I was just going to call it like Red Sheep Knittery because red is my favorite color. And I was sitting at my desk still working at my job, and I thought, well, what is that in French? And I was like, Le Mouton Rouge. And I was like, that's so perfect. So that's how I got my name.
That's so fun. Yeah. Anybody knows Kelly that when she loves something, she loves it. So just when she says she likes red, it's no joke.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know because I've been to 3 of your, like you've had 3 different locations for your store now. And
yes,
I have been to all 3 and I know you. So, I mean, I have my opinion about what makes your yarn store special, but I'm excited to hear what you think makes your yarn store special.
So I think probably like the variety of things that I have and the amounts that I have in stock. Something that's really important to me is to be size inclusive. So when I don't have a small amount of yarn. I think I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 45,000 skeins of yarn in the store. And I would say a good 25,000 of those are hand-dyed yarns. So I don't know that you're going to see that quantity of hand-dyed yarn in too many other places. But I always want to make sure that I have a sweater quantity in something for basically any size. So I don't have every yarn in a sweater quantity for every size, but I want to have some choices that would work for everyone because I think it's really important.
You have a lot of yarn.
I do have a lot of yarn.
Like, I cannot wait for the people to watch the video footage of and know that I was really distracted with the 4-year-old when I was taking the video footage and I didn't even get it all. I didn't get it all, but it's
also important to mention that I just moved like 6 weeks ago. So there are things that are not perfect.
Yeah, that's life.
We're working on it.
Mm-hmm. That is life. Actually, on my last episode, I was talking about mistakes in knitting. And I know that like your store being perfectly organized is not a mistake, but I think imperfection is like to be expected and mistakes are to be expected and it should be more normalized. So
it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. As we all are.
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. So I would say that your selection, that's what I would say is really special. I live out, for new viewers that would potentially be watching this, I live out in the Portland, Oregon area. I'm south of Portland, Oregon, and Kelly's in Bloomington, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously I go to local yarn stores out here and it just, of course, they're awesome out here, but nobody has out here like the quantity of yarn that you have.
Well, and I will say my old location was 1,450 square feet. My original location in Morris was 1,400. And then I moved to 1,450 when I moved to Bloomington. I think that was like 6.5 years ago. And now I have 3,700 square feet. And as I was moving, I had this fear that the store was going to be empty.
Oh my gosh, no.
And then I was going to have all this room and it was going to be this empty space. And what was I going to do with it?
No, actually,
it is not empty.
A secret discussion, which is now not so secret because I'm telling you and putting it on YouTube. We'll see if I edit it out. But Kelly and I were talking about your store and we're like, yeah, Kelly's got, it's 30, we said 35, 3,700 square feet now. We're like, it will all be full. And then she's going to need more space.
Yeah. I need to restrain myself for a while. So
I don't think you will.
I don't know. We'll see.
So what's your favorite part? I mean, let's just be honest. Being a yarn store owner is really hard and has its challenges. But in that, like, what's the light? Like, what's the joy? Like, what's your favorite part of running?
I really like to help people choose colors. I think that that's probably my favorite thing. And it doesn't even really matter what project it's for. I just like to see how colors that might be unexpected come together.
That's good to know. All those times I'm messaging you for help.
Yes, I love it.
So, okay. So I think visiting your store would be a really fun day trip in Illinois. And like, you're located in Bloomington, Illinois, which if people aren't from the area is really close to Normal, Illinois as well. And both Bloomington and Normal have like really fun things to do. So I was wondering if people were visiting, what you might recommend for a day trip.
Yeah. And I also want to mention, like, if you are wondering where Bloomington is, we are an hour north of Springfield and about 2.5 hours from Chicago. But we are on Interstate 55, Interstate 74, and Interstate 39, where those all intersect. So if you're driving somewhere, it's possible that it might not be that far out of the way if you want to stop by. I would say like my ideal day to come would be to get up early and go to have breakfast at the Fort Jesse Cafe.
I knew you were going to say this. I knew you were
love that place. And then, I mean, you can come and yarn shop. And then there's some great places to have lunch. So basically it's yarn and eating.
She's so obsessed with this cafe. Like anytime we need to eat out together, this is where I can't believe you're not mentioning the Thai house.
That's where you go for lunch. Except for that when you came to visit when they were closed for the holidays. So.
Oh my gosh. I was like, of course I wanted to see you. But like, I'm going to be honest, like the Thai house was really up there.
It was an added draw.
Yes. And then, so they were closed until January 5th and my flight home was January 3rd. I was like, what? No. And there's amazing Thai food where I live. There is just amazing Thai food where I live. And I've had a lot of Thai food all over the world. Mm-hmm. The best pad Thai I've ever had is in Normal, Illinois. I don't know if it's sentimental or like what, but I just love that pad Thai so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good.
So
it's really good.
So we were suggesting breakfast and lunch for you.
Yes. And there's also, if you are a quilter, there are 2 really good fabric stores. And if you're willing to drive 5 miles more, there's another one north of town about 5 miles. There's the bead shop. There's a paint your own pottery place. So if you are like a crafty person, there is tons of stuff to do. If you are driving through, and I mean, we're right on Route 66. I mean, like the store is not on Route 66, but Route 66 goes through Bloomington and Normal. So there's some Route 66 stuff that you can stop and see. There is the History Museum has some great Abraham Lincoln stuff. I mean, there's just a lot of nice stuff to do. If you have little kids, there's the Children's Museum in Uptown Normal, which is fabulous. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. There's Illinois State University is here. So there's athletic events for them. There's cultural events. There's bands. There's all kinds of stuff.
That's where I went. But Kelly's Yarn Store wasn't there when I went there.
I waited until Nicole was done with school to move my store.
Yeah.
Here.
Although I got to go, Kelly has this thing called Hand-Dyed Holiday, which is like this crazy yarn event. How many skeins of yarn have you had in the past?
Normally it's 10,000. This past year I only did about 5,000 because of COVID.
Yeah.
So
mind blowing. And it just so happened that I needed to fly back for my graduation for my PhD, like the commencement. And she had just moved and I was like in town. So I was able to go to Hand-Dyed Holiday after my graduation. It was magical.
Yes, it was a good visit.
So, okay, before we go, you've gotten into dyeing yarn. Did you start this in 2021? I can't remember. 2020. I can't even remember.
It was in 2020.
Okay.
I had done a little bit before that, but I really started doing more of it. I call it my pandemic hobby. So
yeah, I can see that because I was like, I don't remember when you started, but I felt like it was around the pandemic when it started.
Yeah, I have always really enjoyed it. And like the idea of color is really fun to me. So I had done a little bit here and there with different things, but I got more serious about it. Like I do a color of the month and all that.
So this might require that you get up. I don't know because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this, but I was wondering if you would show us some of your favorite colorways you've dyed. I can edit out the space if you have to get up.
I have my cowl from my Shiny and Bright set that was last Christmas, so I will show that. That's only a few steps away. So as Nicole said, I don't do anything in small measure, and I collect vintage Shiny Bright ornaments. And I had more. I had a flood in my basement this past summer, so I lost some of my ornaments. But I used to have about 1,500 of the vintage ornaments. And if you're not familiar with Shiny Brights, they were Max at Card. They were made in the USA. They started making them in the 1930s, and they made them until like sometime in the mid 70s. But they're all kind of those bright, like mod sort of colors. So last year, because I couldn't have Hand-Dyed Holiday as a substitute, I did a Shiny and Bright mini skein set, and it was 12 mini skeins of yarn. And then I designed this cowl. So there's kind of that grainy yellow, and then the pink, and then we go to the aqua. And I just love all the colors in this. So
yeah, that's really cool.
There's speckles and solids that kind of go through. So I will say this is probably the favorite thing that I did because I love the Shiny Bright ornaments and I love the way that the colors came out in this. And the vintagey mints and aquas, and
it's really cool.
Vintage Christmas is my jam.
She does love a good vintage anything. Let's just keep it real. She bought a Ferris wheel this summer.
It was only a Ferris wheel seat.
I know, but I just like to say Ferris wheel.
I think that we don't want me to seem more crazy. The actual amount of crazy I am is probably enough.
I know. I say, this is really to help you. So I say you buy a Ferris wheel and then the people are like, whoa. And then you're like, no, it's just a seat. And now it's not such a big deal.
Well, so for my 10th anniversary this past summer, I had Yarnival. So I had a carnival theme and there was games that you could play. And then for a photo op, there was this Ferris wheel seat. So it totally makes sense if you know it was a Yarnival that I had a Ferris wheel seat.
It does. And
next year, ponies.
Oh my gosh. I was so tempted to fly in for her Yarnival this summer. The temptation was real. I think if you would have had ponies or donkeys, I would have for sure bought a flight.
If only I would have known, I would have gotten a pony.
So, okay. Again, I'm really making this go a long time. But I think it would be helpful to know too, it's okay if you don't want to get up and get it, but like what's some of your like most like I imagine when you're selling your hand-dyed yarn that you dye, like there's something that's like this colorway is like a bestseller, like it sells more than the other colorways. It may not be your favorite color, but it might be like, oh no, this one, it sells a lot.
I would say probably across the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So the lighting is not as good back here. I don't know if you can see. So it's purple and teal with gray speckles. I don't know how well you can see that.
That's cool. Have you made a sweater for yourself out of that yet?
Out of this, no.
You did not. Something Montana.
The Montana Sapphire is what I used for my love note.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry. I'm like looking at my wall of yarn. I don't know if I can flip my camera. Here's like my wall of hand-dyed here. I don't think that I have Montana Sapphire here.
So Across the Universe is probably your...
I think that one has been the most popular, and the second one is probably the Mum's the Word.
Ooh, show me that one.
That's the color. It was the color of the month for October?
Really?
September. No, September.
I mean, it's a nice color. I'm just so surprised that that's like...
I don't know that you were seeing like how good this color is in this corner. I had new LED light put back here, but I think it seems a little bit yellow to me.
All right, before you go, show the people a pink. Or by
pink?
The people, I mean me.
This one is called Fling.
Hello.
And it's pink with a little bit of peach in there.
That's good.
So, I think what I should have had out is my sparkle mohair fade set.
Oh, yes.
I need to get that ready and divide it out because I'm going to do like a kit for a scarf or a cowl, but
that'd be cool.
Yes. So well, I think that was above me. Maybe it gives me a halo.
Thanks so much for letting me interview you for the channel.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Oh, and we're going to give away a Sweater Plus set.
Oh, the
chunky, yes, the chunky pearl strings.
Yes, we are. I mean,
I just want to talk about the pearl strings for just 1 second.
Oh, get it, girl. Do it. And I'll grab the...
I just wanted to talk about pearl strings, and the mini and pearl strings are all size inclusive. The long cord for this body of the sweater with those sets is 2.5 meters, which is about 100 inches. So I wanted to make sure that when I was doing those that they were size inclusive. And Nicole has some to give away that are the new chunky cords that'll fit better for bigger needles.
I should have picked these up when I was visiting you. I guess I can just buy it and have them mailed because these are glorious. And I have some of your other ones, and these cords just feel so good. Feel so good.
Yes.
So much.
I mean, they're substantial. I mean, like it's a millimeter bigger, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for larger needles, they are definitely easier to use.
Yeah. And I'm going to need a pair of these, or not pair. These are not a pair.
A set.
A set of these, because I am going to be knitting some chunky sweaters this year for sure.
And they do come in neon pink, even though you don't like pink more than other people.
I mean, I wouldn't mind neon pink in these, so it's tempting, but this is a glorious color. I think like I like yellow as much as I like, no, I like pink and then yellow's number 2, but I always call this yellow, and then Matilda disagrees with me and calls it green. It's yellow. But
I think it's yellow. I would call it yellow.
Okay, so how are we going to do this giveaway? Should we have the people comment on the YouTube, or are we doing it?
Whatever you want to do is fine. I just wanted to talk and like make sure that people know that mini and pearl strings are size inclusive. Okay, awesome. And so usually, let's see here. Usually I have a suggestion. Any comment will enter you, but usually I have a suggestion, like of something to comment on. You know? Okay. They could talk about their favorite mathematical theorem or paper.
Okay, talk about your favorite. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, 2 options for you. Tell me about your favorite mathematical thing. That'll enter you. And then also go go check out Kelly's website, which I'll have linked below, or her Instagram. And I'll link her Instagram below too. There will be a little arrow here on YouTube. You can just click it, and you can click on her Instagram link or on her website link and just tell us like something that's really fun that you found on her website or her Instagram. Because the other thing I'd just like to mention is that you do lots of lives on Instagram and on Facebook where you unbox the many things you end up putting in your store.
I know. I keep trying to tell myself that I need to like slow down the ordering so I can get everything.
What will we watch on Facebook then?
From moving like put away. It does not seem to stop me.
Yeah, I mean, and I've noticed since, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been to your store, but since the last time I've been to your store, it's like you're even having things like if somebody went shopping and they drug along their non-knitter friend, your non-knitter friend would have stuff to look at.
Yeah, I mean, I have swig mugs, which I think are really great. I try and like think of things that knitters or crocheters would use as they're doing their craft. So it doesn't mean that you have to do the craft, but things that you would enjoy. And like the swig mugs really keep your beverage warm for a long time. So if you're a tea or a coffee drinker, they're great. I have Pinky Up tea, which if you notice me drinking earlier.
I'm pretty sure I didn't video that because I was chasing after Matilda.
She wasn't doing her scavenger hunt.
So when we visited to do the interview, Kelly did a scavenger hunt for Matilda, which was so fun. Then Matilda decided she wanted to do a scavenger hunt for us. But the thing about a 4-year-old hiding things is she was hiding them real good. Some
of them were like all right next to each other. And then other things
were like buried in the yarn.
So this is like swig mugs and the Pinky Up tea. And I have some novelty. So like these are great because they're punny. So it's like Anne of Green Tea Gables and the picture of Earl Grey. So those are funny. And then Mayana chocolates are amazing.
That's what I regret not buying. Like, so I need to place an order for chocolate and chunky pearl strings.
And then I have like Potholder looms and loops because that's a really fun thing that's like achievable in a short amount of time.
I'm going to be honest. So that's been kind of showing up on my Instagram a ton. It's like, is this like a new fad again? Like, I feel like this was cool when I was little.
Well, I think, I don't know. I have this. I did not weave this. This is my customer, Evelyn, wove this. Ooh. But the potholder loom is 10 by 10, but it makes an 8 by 8 potholder, the pro size. So it's actually really functional. Like, I mean, I made those little potholders when I was a kid. I think everyone made those little potholders when they were a kid, and they weren't really big enough for a potholder.
I wouldn't know.
So I think
never crossed my mind.
I think because these are larger and they're actually functional, that like, and these are Harrisville designs. They're all cotton loops. People are into it again, and there's all sorts of colors. I have a postal sorter up here. We're gonna watch.
I did get a video of that. I did get a video of that for sure.
Okay, I was gonna say I actually have them hung up on the back of the postal sorter now, so yeah, you can see all the different loops that are available. I'm setting you down. So yeah, 8 by 8 potholders are actually like a functional size. I did just order actually the small looms too, because I was like, then you can make matching coasters. I never once gave it a thought about it not being functional. Well, I think, as kids, it was what was available.
Yeah.
And most of the time the loops were either polyester or nylon. So then if you actually used them for something hot, they would melt. So now we have all cotton loops. So you can make a functional size and they don't melt.
This is amazing.
The glory of natural fibers.
Yes. All right. This has surely been this is probably, no doubt, this is going to be the longest interview on my channel. So let's say goodbye. And we mean it this time. We say goodbye. It's like a Midwest goodbye where you say bye and you're like, oh, wait, one more thing. And you say goodbye and you're like, wait, one more thing. Like, but it's going to be bye for real right now.
So
bye.
Bye, everyone.
So awkward. Okay, you gotta try that again. It was so awkward.
I'm still holding on to a potholder. Bye, everyone. See, I just feel like it's awkward. Oh, here, we can show everyone what I have on my door.
Oh,
so this
yes.
is the message that you get when you're leaving my store. So we can say thank you, friends, for watching.
Oh, I spy more boxes.
Talk about that.
Not gonna talk about that. All right.
So yes, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed us.